We are live now.
So would you welcome or should I start?
Yes, I will start. Professor Vaishnavi, shall we start? Yes.
So thank you. Thank you.
Good evening and welcome to the webinar on Logistics and Supply Chain Management organized by Sister Nivedita University and Times Pro. Welcome to the webinar, all of you. Well, we will be starting with a video about Sister Nivedita University. It is one of the prominent institutions. It's quickly become, despite its young age, it's become a great institute within a very short span of time. Good evening and welcome to the webinar, all of you. A very interesting topic we have today, logistics and supply chain management. What is it exactly? Let me try to put it this way. All of us know how easy it has become to buy things now. Whatever we need is right at our doorstep with just a call or a keypad. Pick up a keypad, especially during the pandemic when the entire world was on lockdown, but things still got delivered through the marketplace or to our very doorstep. Have you ever wondered how exactly does the product reach you? Even products prepared and manufactured from far-flung areas and sometimes abroad. Well, this entire thing only is possible because of the supply chain and logistics system and the management of the entire system. So you can understand how important this domain is. Undeniably, purchase and consumption of products and goods are a large part of our day-to-day life today. Be it directly visiting marketplace or diving into the world of e-commerce, our lives are completely dependent on the efficient functioning of this logistics and supply chain management system. Especially with the boom of e-commerce, you can see that it has got a new momentum. That we ensure, this system is what ensures that your preferred product reaches you, that it reaches the consumer. However, this is me oversimplifying the process. We will hear about it. We hear about the entire world of supply and logistics management from experts today. We have gathered experts both from academia as well as industry. On the speaker's hot seat, we have Professor Rotun Vaishnavi. She's a veteran professor, a well-renowned economist with years of experience in the academia and in a support system for us. here at Sister Nivedita University. He's also the director of Business and Management, School of Business and Management at Sister Nivedita University. We also have with us the HOD of Business Management Department, Professor Devraj. He's the HOD of the department, but he also has worked extensively in the corporate sector. Another a very important speaker is Mr. Surjit Singh. He is the Deputy General Manager, Logistics and Product Head, Times Pro. He's a total experience of over 15 years, and he's worked across various industries and has garnered a lot of experience. We will get to hear from him about the industry part in this webinar. Thank you to all the speakers for joining us today. And we will, without further ado, let's dive into the discussion. I will ask Professor Gautam Kashmir to open the session with a very relevant question today. What is, sir, can you tell us, sir, what is supply chain management? Why are we saying that it is a very essential domain today? Tell us, sir, over to you.
Thank you, Andrila. Actually, there has been a sea change in the area of business during last 2 decades. Not that pandemic has changed the scenario. Yes, it is working as a factor, but there are several factors working together, and the end product is that the concept of business has changed definitely over next 2 decades, last 2 decades, I'm sorry, and the concept of management also has gone through a sea change in the same direction. Briefly speaking, management over some identified areas of knowledge. Identified areas of knowledge such as finance, such as HR, such as marketing. So someone graduating, someone getting in business management was perceived to be a scholar, a person which has some basic understanding about how the decisions are taken, the business environment under which decisions are taken, the organizational structure under which decision is being is being taken, and also the macro and microeconomic scenario that prompts the business that prompts a person to take adequate decision to meet the challenges in those areas. So functional areas, these were identified and the subject developed accordingly. During last 2 decades, what has happened is that the perspective has changed, is changing. And the perspective is that, okay, my business is something like this, something like this. I have a business on some XYZ commodities. Some of these commodities are produced by me, in-house production, and my management in that area is on the operations. But I also have some demand which have sensed from the market or thing Y, Z, X something coming from the other sources which I will procure, and I may have some value addition to that, but I will be ready with that commodity also, that part of the commodity also, and meet the challenges in the demand which are coming. What could be the challenges in demand? Demand actually is being generated by persons with the purchasing power. I call it effective demand. And effective demand is materialized through certain of supply. You go to a retailer, ask for a commodity. The retailer says, yes, sir, that commodity is available. And your demand is translated into effective demand. But suppose the retailer says, no, sir, this commodity is not available. I cannot give you this one. Your demand, which was backed by your purchasing power, is not becoming an effective demand. Now, during last 2 decades, what has happened is that there is an information explosion, and the people know at which point what commodity has to be supplied and where the effective demand lies. Now, suppose I have some XYZ commodities with me, some of which I produce, some of which I procured, and I have made some value addition to that one. And I know that this is my stock on which I can really work. Consider this, I will use one military term. Consider this in terms of some logistics. I have made certain commodities available. And with this thing, I now assess the effective demand. And I want to have a chain of supply which can actually effectively meet this, effectively address the issue at the end point of supply, that is, which can realize, which can effectively meet the need at the end point. And this can only be done by assimilating the information which are coming from the demand side and developing certain chains which can meet these types of demands in the market, which had been there, which had not been there, which are still to come in the market, but I am ready. So the situation has changed in this way. Logistics I have, and where I know how the commodities had to be procured, and I also know how to meet the challenges which are there in the part of the effective demand. Business nowadays is being thought of in a different way. Not only the functional areas on which the expertise are demanded, but expertise will be demanded. Expertise is being demanded on meeting the needs of logistics, meeting the needs of the supply chain. A particular person which has HR specialization does not really know what exactly is needed in the area of a particular node in supply chain, specific need, HR need in that supply, in that node of supply chain. One shall have to be educated to this one. A particular person who has very good understanding about how the marketing has to be done does not have any understanding of how the effective demand works. In order to meet this gap, the subject of business management is being now reframed in a different way, in which we do not concentrate on the particular areas of specialization, like say HR specialization, or say finance specialization, or say marketing specialization. This could be there, but point is that new demand I assess for of the labor force, of the of the workforce. The new demand is that I need new manpower which will address all these problems from the point of view of what the logistics need, and also the point of view of what a node in the supply chain really needs. In order to meet this one, the courses are to be reframed in a different way. And this has been done under a new nomenclature, logistics and supply chain management. Some area in universities or business management institutions have introduced this thing. In the eastern part, it is very rare. People did not conceive things in this way. And we in the sister Nivedita University would in fact be the effective introducer of this particular time of curriculum in collaboration with Times Pro. Why Times Pro? This particular need was envisaged by us in the world of the academics. We understood that questions are being addressed by issues in the area of supply chain, issues in the area of logistics. So our course curriculum shall have to be reframed in this way. But all this would be meaningless if we cannot tie up with an organization which knows what what the exact need of the market of the manpower is in the market. What is the exact need of manpower, exact area of knowledge on which the manpower has to be trained so that the need of the market has to be met. What exactly the Flipkart needs in order to maintain its warehouses? What exactly Amazon needs from a beginner, a new MBA, in order to get him employed, engaged in a particular node of supply chain? What exactly does it do? Do they need it? These are to be addressed. In order to address this part, we wanted to have a tie-up, and we are proud to announce that that tie-up has already been done, already been addressed, already been met with Times Pro, which has a vast knowledge in this area. How the market of supply chain is developing, what kind of knowledge in which we are to concentrate in order to train the people in the area of logistics and also supply chain. We had some initial discussion, and I immediately understood that they have vast expertise in this area. They could outline what the market demand is, how the market gives the signal. I took that signal from them and framed a particular course according to what had been there in my mind and what had been there what had been there in the area of business management, if the issues are to be addressed from the area of supply chain and also the logistics. So curriculum was developed, a course curriculum was developed, and I had academic input from Professor Devraj Datta also. And with this thing, this was floated. And Times Pro readily approved this thing. With this approved curriculum, I met the Vice Chancellor. He also understood the academic merit of this one. He actually offered full support for launching this program. The program was launched in the Sister Nivedita University campus, and we are proud to announce that from this year, hopefully, we will be able to introduce a new course which will actually bring, usher in a new era in the management science, where the issues in the management science will be addressed from a different angle, not exactly what is there in the run of the mill situation, not exactly from the functional areas of business, but from the areas of what is need in the logistics and also in the area of the nodes of supply chain. How what is the effective demand? How these are being made, and how the logistics are to be maintained in such a way that these demand side issues could be addressed properly, but no supply side constraints actually develops on my side. And in this way, actually, a new era, new in the management science, is definitely going to come in. And Sister Nivedita University, by launching this program, is expecting to meet the new demand which is coming in the market for the manpower in the management science. We have a great expectation from this collaboration, and I'm sure the Times Pro will meet our expectation. I am sure we have a very good faculty support, and the course curriculum has been developed in such a way that our faculty will be of great help in in teaching, particularly the core areas, of course, and also in some of the areas in specialization areas of logistics and supply chain management. But I also expect much faculty support from the Times Flow, and as a result, we will be able to impart quality education in this area, and we will make an imprint and this with this I end my introductory remarks. Thank you, Indira.
You are in mute, Andrea.
Indira, you are mute. Yeah.
Let's assume second time. That's a lucky charm. Anyway,
Uh,
so thank you, Professor Kashmir. It's always an experience listening to you. Definitely, thank you for giving us that 360-degree view of the entire subject and the domain area, and also telling us a little bit about the collaboration which happened between one of the leading institutions of Eastern India, Sister Nivedita University, with one of the leading media houses, Times Group. Indeed, this is a unique course, and I'm sure, as Professor Kashmir mentioned, that it will usher in a new era of management studies where we address issues from the industry perspective. Uh, I will request Mr. Sujit Singh to talk about a little bit about the collaboration, how it came about, and a little bit about the demands of the industry as well. And Mr. Singh, if you can tell us a little bit about it.
Right. Thank you so much. I think all of points is already covered by Professor Kasnavis and related to all core, importance and the valuable input which is required from the industry side. But just wanted to give you the quick glimpse about the industry point of view, how this industry is shaping well, and what kind of the futuristic demand and the structures is allowing on that particular. So as well said by Professor, like, the demand from tier 2 and tier 3 cities, the consignment validations part, quality assurance, and as well as the future market of, process with regards to the e-commerce logistics service provider. During the lockdown, we have analyzed how these, the industries are shaping and fulfilling our required demand and supply structure. And that is the reason now India is having a leading process way with regards to 100% of growth of originators with the third party logistic market. Initially, what happened, people are more focused towards the 2PL and 1PL segment things. They are not very much open. Only 8% or 10% market is run by the organized player, which is provided the services of third party logistics. Now they wanted to be capture the another set of the 90% market in coming 4 to 5 years down the line, so that they will be having a huge number of growth and as well as the employability factor. So as why we need the required associations with the industry academia connect. So I would like to give you some highlighted point. The first and most important thing, like the requirement which is applicable for the industry domain. So in logistic and supply chain industry, especially, they are looking 3 million additional jobs. If I talk about the 3 million additional jobs, means 30 lakh positions are there for us. One condition should be there, a right candidate for the right fitted job role. And that is the biggest challenge in terms of the, industry, and as well as the skilled manpower for the required set of the process. And this is the major problem where the collaboration work to solve these issues with regards to the skill enhancement process, with regards to hygiene, and with the promising candidate. The candidate should understand what kind of the roles and responsibilities managed by the operation executive, what kind of the things will be, delivers as per the logistic administration or vendor managed inventory executive or supply chain executive. And that's how this industry will give us a better connect and better suitable career options for operations profile. And this is the main, process where we will be connecting towards the academia to provide the, bridging the gap between the thought process with regards to the student expectation, do not merge with the, or do not process with regards to the industry expectation. And the similar way, the knowledge and skill set they are getting on a traditional way also not match with the industry expectation, so that we will be having a upgraded model where the entire thing will be covered as per the latest trends and techniques, so that during the academia, students have more valuable input with the promising career and profile oriented thing. So we will be having a latest curriculum which is required for coming suitability factors with regards to the various industry segment. So that is the reason we would like the collaboration with the academia and provide the best suitable resources to the industry for their growth and the process way. Over to you.
Okay.
Well, as you said, yes, this course was more rising to the need of the hour, and especially it was, SMU has taken the lead. We are very proud of it. Professor Doctor, would you like to add on to something about the collaboration and about the course and about the collaboration?
Before I talk about that, I think all of us are aware of the Swiggy, Zomato. These names have become very, 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 very common. So let us just quickly have a little bit of data that Zomato had an order volume of over 200 million during the first half of the financial year 2020. And this is about where the pandemic actually was hitting us. And there is another very interesting data that last year, 31st December, that time, that particular day, Zomato has got the number of order that is picked per minute, 4,254. So per minute, Zomato was getting 4,254, and one particular they have got this particular thing. They are getting 75 crore of gross merchandise value for that. And same thing happened for Swiggy. This is just to give us a perspective what can happen, because we are just looking at people coming at our place to deliver the food, but exactly what happens? We are getting at the front end, but what is happening on the back end? Now, so that is the industry requirement, and that is where this course comes into play, because obviously we need to have real professionals. Few years back, it was not required, but now look at the volume, look at the expectation. That is another very important thing. Now, when we order, we are expecting it is to be delivered within 2 days, 1 day, maybe within hours. And there is one startup in Ireland named Manna, and it has made a tie-up with Samsung, and it is going to deliver the mobile phone within an hour. So that is the thing, that impatience and the volume. So both the volume, and the expectation, both are actually creating a lot of expectations, and that's where our course comes into play. We have a huge experience of Techno Group. Everybody knows that in this part of the country, Techno Group has for years has been experienced in education at all levels, especially professional education. And there we have Times Pro, which has a deep domain expertise. And what can be the better combination? And if you look at the curriculum that we have been planning for months, that if we look at the curriculum, we have a very nice combination of, number one, industry specific papers, number two, overall management papers, because one just cannot understand management principles, one cannot understand logistics or supply chain dynamics if he or she doesn't know about economics, basics of statistics, basics of productions and operations management, basics of HR, human resources, basics of marketing. So these things are very, very important. Then we also have a language, and not just business communication, not just English, that is anywhere there. We have foreign language. So there, the students could opt any one of the foreign languages that we offer. Why that is important? Because we are talking about global trade, and not everybody would be very comfortable in English. So this is the perspective that we are talking about. And if we look at the specialization papers, we are not waiting till the second, third, or fourth semester. We are starting the specialization paper from the very first semester. We have a paper called supply chain planning, very basic thing. So as soon as students enter, they are getting this knowledge within couple of months. Exactly what we're going to learn. So this is the first thing. And when we talk about a subject, it is not about some theoretical lectures. There will be assignments, there will be projects. And when we talk about projects, intentionally we make it team projects, group assignments. Why? Because there is another aspect that is what we call attitude part. Apart from knowledge, that is a theoretical part, and the skill, that is the application part, there is another very important third element, that is what we call attitude. That is, you cannot survive in a corporate world as an individual. You have to learn how to work in a team. And this cannot be taught. Basically, one has to learn, one has to understand the culture of working in a team. Team dynamics, group dynamics is very, very important. That is, say, all our assignments, all our projects, intentionally we give in terms of groups. And what happens here, we have a very good collaboration of faculty members and also industry experts. So they'll get both the perspectives. They'll know the knowledge, they'll have the knowledge, they'll know what this subject is all about, and they and also understand how to apply that knowledge once they're working on it. Then in the second semester, we have logistics management, as Mr. Surjit was talking about. And in that particular picture, it was shown, the visual was the cargo part, the trucks moving, the things are getting from X place to Y place. So that is very, very important. Professor Hashimis has also mentioned, and he has rightly pointed out, that there's a military background, because what happens during war, it is not just war of weapons, is also aware of logistics. And if somebody looked into the history of European politics, the reason why Napoleon has lost the Russian war, and the same thing has happened in case of Hitler, it is not because of the weapons or lack of military skills. It's purely the crisis in terms of resources, because they were surrounded by the people and they are not having the supplies, and obviously the inclement weather. But main thing was there was no supply. If somebody has seen Game of Thrones, one can understand huge army, but they have to be fed. So there comes the concept of logistics. And if you look at any business, there will be raw materials that which will be required. If I'm talking from the manufacturing point of view, a steel company, a textile company, if there are no raw materials, if the raw materials don't reach in due course of time, how a car company will manufacture car? How a steel company will create TMT bars if there is no supply of raw materials? So that is the supply end. And the demand end, what happens? That you have finished products, but the finished products should reach to the end users, the customers, through dealers, distributors, warehouse owners, the retailers. Otherwise, what's the purpose? And when you look at this curriculum, you also talk about supply end and demand end. What is it, the demand end? The industry professionals, like Mr. Sujit has mentioned, that industry people, they're looking for human resources. You often talk about unemployment, but actually there are a lot of jobs. But the problem is there is a dearth of skilled people. So here we are trying to impart skill, and we are operating at the supply end because we are in the business of making professionals. We always believe in that. We are trying to convert the students, the school students or college students, graduates, school passers, that how to convert them into professionals in terms of knowledge, skill, attitude, and aptitude. So I have talked about semester 1, supply chain planning. I have also talked about semester 2, specialization papers, logistics management. And now I'll request Mr. Surjit to proceed so that I can again talk about other subjects which would come into play. Over to you, Mr. Surjit.
Sure, sir. So just for the addition part, what we have discussed about the curriculum and the way forward thing. I just wanted to, give you very quick information about once the student get into that particular understanding and the knowledge aspect, where they can approach with their promising career way. So these are the most promising demanding sectors for the logistic and supply chain management, where the huge number of manpower's requirements, like if I quoted with the 30 lakh positions are there, these positions can be observed in this particular process way. Means today, whatever products we are using, whatever brand we know it very well, or whatever services we are using on a day-to-day routine basis because of logistic and supply chain management. If a nutshell, if I talk about the supply chain logistic division is the backbone of the entire economical development factor. So let's understand about the job opportunities as per the guided by first semester and second semester, what exactly we are teaching about this particular thing. The first segment is the warehouse management. So once the student can understand about the warehouse management process, the candidate should be fit for responsible for material inward outward processing, documentation part, responsible for quality check, data management, and licensing with DC. DC stands for distribution centers. The second, when we student undergo the entire understanding about the warehouse planning management or supply chain planning management, the candidate well versed with regards to managing and coordinating logistics, inventory control, maintain the supply chain plan and process. The third segment, when the student understood about the operation management, logistic operation management, that candidate will be well versed with regards to back-end process check for logistics, quality check for end-to-end process, and report generation. The fourth one is the procurement management part. In this part, once he undergo the entire structural base, the candidate should be responsible or maybe understandable for supplier relationship management, auditing, certifying, negotiating with multiple suppliers, WMS data management. Then it is the most, interesting things with logistic operation management, because a lot of e-commerce companies are having this particular wing for managing and coordinating logistic, transportation management, lead direct strategic planning process and implementation part. Then supply chain management, ranging end-to-end sales and operation process, rollout plan, franchisee management, and demand projection. And these all opportunities are available for operations process only. So that is the reason industry requires a skilled manpower, because anything happen from the back-end part, it automatically creating a bad impact in front of the customer's point of view. As sir rightly mentioned, you order something, let's say you order something, some ABC product for your utilization factor. Unfortunately, you will get a wrong consignment, or you will get a damage consignment, or you will get a expiry consignment. You will never ever recommend for that particular product. You put a complaint on the certain things, and ultimately entire thing will be impacted, because it is also having a certain problem with regards to brand, with regards to promising and the quality segment. And that is the reason they are very keen process required a candidate who understood all the critical elements, because if operation well, ultimately market strategy and the goodwill and brand value also got impacted on that. Over to you, sir.
Thanks, Mr. Sujit. And exactly that's the reason we have e-commerce in our very second semester. We always go around our mobile phone, your laptop, desktop, and we keep on ordering, keep on interacting. But exactly what happens at the back end? And as Mr. Sujit has pointed out, ABC, you ordered for ABC, you got XYZ, or you have asked for 3 units, you have got 2 units. Or you have got something which actually has passed on expiry period, or maybe it is getting delayed. Sometimes it happens that it is supposed to be delivered on, say, Tuesday, and you're not even getting on Thursday. Why that happens? And not always the company is responsible, but we always criticize about the company where we have given the order. And that's why we have a concept called 3PL, third-party logistics, and even we have considered that. When we look into the semester 3 specialization papers, exactly what Mr. Sujit has mentioned about the job prospects and the sectors. Semester 3, we have the purchasing and vendor management and warehousing and inventory management. Especially this warehousing, just imagine I was talking about the volumes. If you look at the Amazon, can you just understand what is the volume of transaction? And it just cannot happen that you order and you get it. So there has to be some warehouse where things have to be kept. And not just about Amazon. Look at any FMCG. In the sense that HUL, PNG, Dabur, Marico, I have worked with one of such companies, even the newspapers. So when you get the newspapers in hard copies, obviously require the newsprint, and you have to keep it somewhere. And if there is some sort of damage somewhere, so you can understand there will be huge repercussion on the production quality. So warehousing is very, very important. Sometimes we find out somebody has posted on internet that worms have been found out in a chocolate or in cold drinks. But believe me, it doesn't probably happen during the manufacturing. Probably it happened during the warehousing, improper warehousing or inventory management, what we call. So the warehousing and inventory management is a very, very important thing for one such professional. And Mr. Sujit has also talked about various documentation that is also required, because when you are having a transaction, there are a lot of things you have to consider, a lot of taxation considerations have to be, and that's why in semester 4, we have two very important specialization papers. One is GST and taxation. You know, GST was implemented in India on 1st of July 2017, and there are various GST slabs, and you have to understand the GST slabs. And very interesting, if just you go to a restaurant, you find out that there is some GST components, or you purchase any course on online, you will find out GST there. So GST is very, very important when you are billing, and if you're not aware of this, then there is a problem. And then we have a paper called Commercial Geography and Logistics Documentation. Because if the documentation is not there, properly there, it creates a lot of problem when you're into importing, exporting, or even in the domestic, because you might be transporting something from one state to another state, and different states have different rules, or there are some documents you need to get cleared when you are crossing one border of one state and you are getting into another state. If the documentation is not very clear, there might be a high chance that your consignment might be seized, and entire thing will come to you, loss of money, loss of time, and obviously loss of the brand value of the company. So you understand how the courses have been designed. So it was not just done like that. We had interactions. We also have interacted with industry experts. We also have interacted with the recruiters, their expectations. As I mentioned, there has to be a proper fit between what the recruiters want and what our students should offer. So that's why we have a concept called grooming. Apart from taking regular classes, there will be grooming sessions. Employability enhancement, that's the term we use. That is, you have to grow. And I always use this thing that you have to become a LinkedIn person from being just a Facebook person. I'm not asking anybody to deactivate the Facebook account, but LinkedIn becomes very, very important because that's your professional persona. Similarly, when you are going for a job, going for a career, that part is very, very important. And that is why I have mentioned that we have the group assignments. That's why I'm talking about the grooming sessions. So one is specialization papers, another is foreign language, another is the regular management papers. We have another very interesting concept called generic elective, where the students have to learn subjects beyond their domain, that is management, that is supply chain. Why that is important? Because it gives a wider spectrum. Because when we try to solve a problem in our life, personal problem or professional, so not always a domain expertise helps us. Sometimes we have to go beyond, because sometimes the problems that we face, because we live in silos, we live in water-tight compartments. It's like putting blinkers on, just like the horses, they have blinkers. Problem is, one thing is good that you are focused, but the thing is that you are maybe over-focused and you're not looking around. And sometimes that is important, because otherwise, if you are just domain specific, it can be a problem for you. And we also have a great university system where we have a psychology department. Even day after tomorrow, we have a psychology webinar, and renowned psychologists will come. We'll talk about the stress, how to handle stress, because that is another very important dimension, that our students, when they start working, they should not burn out, because they have to work. This logistics job is a kind of 24-hour job. It's a 7-day per week kind of job, and 365 days a year job, especially during festive time when everybody is enjoying. The logistics people will have the toughest time, because they have to deliver, because that's the time where people would order most. How to cope up with that? That's why we talk about resilience. We talk about self-control. We talk about emotional intelligence. Okay, so apart from the competence in the areas that we're going to teach, there will also be regular interactions, how to manage yourself, how to manage your emotions, how to control your expectations. Like Mr. Sujit was talking about the career progression. But again, somebody has to be patient. Just nobody should think that I'll become a deputy general manager or VP in just the next 2 years. That would be unrealistic ambition. So you also have to know how to handle yourself. That is very, very important.
So well-rounded grooming. That is what
a very interesting thing. Okay, over to you, Mr. Sujit.
Yes.
Yes. Yes, Mukherjee. Yeah. Whoever.
Yes, I'll take it from there. So yes, Professor Gupta, as he mentioned, a well-groomed person. We are creating professionals. We understand the demand, and we are creating professionals. On that, I would like to ask Professor Gupta another question about the on-job training, that opportunity that we have if you enroll at Sister Nivedita University, which is indeed a unique thing that is happening right there. In fact, I would ask both of you, Mr. Sujit Singh and Professor Dr. to add to that. Professor Dr., starting with you.
Now, I would say after Mr. Sujit comes in, because Mr.
Okay.
The kind of companies we are looking at, then I'll talk about what is our whole plan.
Yes.
So very, very quickly, I just wanted to share another information. So once the student complete his academics and industry knowledge input, so from the career option point of view, the candidate should be placed into the various different domain and the execution part. The candidate should be in the part of the business strategy team for on-the-job training part. The candidate should be the part of the production, research and development, procurement, logistics, HR. Even the HR also, they can have the internship on the job training, project management, consulting as a management trainee. That's how they can shape the on-the-job training platform for real-time work exposure. So if I talk about the on-the-job training, so means it's a real-time work exposures, means that timing, that KRAs, roles and responsibilities pretty much similar what the other employees are there, so that you will able to understand, you will able to groom yourself for the new challenges, and also you can have this process to have the strategical decisions, making them a proper solution node, and that's how you can shape your career brighter. So these are the, if I talk about the career ladder, after 4 years down the line or after 5 years down the line, you start your positioning with the operation executive or senior operation executive role, with the promising upgradation with regards to assistant team leader and team leader, then operation manager. And look at the organizations who are waiting for you for the bright future, for taking as a new, process way, a challenging things, like the right candidate for the right fitted job role. These all big brands are there to serve you for better growth and better possible career. Without recession, without any deviation in terms of like a third party payroll or blue collar segment job, nothing would be there. Promising career, white collar segment, executive level, where you can proudly say, I am the part of this, leading organization, and I am the association for the brand value and the segmentation parts. Over to you, sir.
Exactly, I want to start from here. That why should Amazon recruit? Why should all these companies which are mentioned, DHL, whatever companies mentioned is going to recruit? I have talked about group assignments. I talked about assessments, but one has to understand when we give group assignments, they're very interesting, they're very thought-provoking, but all of them are kind of simulations that happens inside the classroom. But sometimes we ask them to get data from outside, but still it has some limitations. And that's why we talk about on-job training and why we call this as a unique differentiator that SNU and Times for this tie-up is offering. Because if you look at the internship is not uncommon. All the institutes which are into management, they're offering internship. But when internship is given, usually internships are given 1 year before the completion, like after third year, after second year for the BBA and after first year for MBA, or after third year or second year after the completion of the course. We have internships, but why we are talking about on-job training as a special thing for this program? Because we're offering in the final semester. What is the advantage? Number one is whatever they have learned in first 5 semesters for BBA and for 3 semesters for MBA, this is the real life opportunity, not any simulation, not a classroom exercise. They go to a real life company and they can work and they can learn. Number two, if they do well, they can be even absorbed in that company. There is always a chance, and we call it a PPO concept, pre-placement offer concept. And very important third thing is called the recency factor. That is that immediately after the completion of on-job training, they'll appear for the final placement interview, and then they can share their experiences because they have completed just maybe a couple of days before or a couple of weeks before. So they are actually into that particular groove so that it could be easier for them to explain what they have done, and that will make them more confident, that will make them more competent, and they can easily convince the recruiters. And that's why we have kept 12 credit points, not just 2, 3, or 4 credit points, 12 credit points for this on-job training, because we consider that as the real differentiator, real value creator. Because at the end of the day, what are we offering? We're offering a value. When we purchase, what we look at is the value. Similarly, when a recruiters recruit, they also look at the value of that candidate. And obviously, this is going to be a unique differentiator, because when we are looking at a solution, we always compare A brand versus B brand. And always we purchase A brand because we feel A brand will give us a better value than B brand. Same thing happens here. A student with a 3 or 4 month of on-job training is a far better product in the job market. That will convince the recruiter in much better manner than just having a degree, a BBA or MBA degree. That's why we call it a real differentiator, and this is a unique thing. You hardly can get it anywhere. So I want to conclude with this, that this is how we have designed the curriculum, and we try to combine all possible aspects of what a true professional should have. Over to you, Madam Mukherjee.
Yes, Professor Doctor, thank you for that, because this is truly rare. You know, you will understand the difference between somebody who's had industry experience and been in the field. That is truly a differentiator. Well, I have also would like you to point out on the fact that SNU offers a list of foreign languages as a part of the curriculum. Do you think that will help students in the grooming process more efficiently? Because
absolutely, no doubt about that. And let me tell you, not just foreign language per se, we also give huge importance on English. So those who are coming from vernacular background, you do not have to be worried. I can tell you my experience. I'm from a vernacular medium background. Till class 12, I learned everything in my time. When I went to Jagadhara University for engineering, obviously, I faced a little bit of problems. But what we do here, from the very first week, we start with business communication, and also we talk about communicative English. So that is about that part, and not just English per se, also the public speaking, confidence, the writing. And on top of that, we also offer German, French, Spanish, and also Japanese. Maybe some more languages will be added in the future as the, I know, say Mandarin could be added because Chinese market is a big market. Now, why that is important? And that's a mandatory. It's not that it's an optional, that's mandatory. If you have to be promoted, you have to take any one of the foreign languages. So there's no way of taking as an optional paper. Now, why we do it? We do it because we want to give a different linguistic perspective. Because what I believe, and this is something I want to tell to all the students from vernacular background, sometimes they feel very shy. Nothing to be shy, nothing to be, you should be proud that you have learned your mother language very well. Because if you learn one language very well, I believe from my personal experience, you can also take up other languages easily. If you learn one foreign language, I'm very sure that if you work in our company, other sector, you can also learn their languages because it gives you that linguistic fluency. That inhibition will go off, because what happens basically in terms of communication is always a lack of confidence. It's not that we don't English grammar, but when we try to speak in English, sometimes something holds us that we cannot speak. So that is something that you can understand once you go through such courses. A new horizon will start, and you can easily pick up new languages. And again, SNU, as you can see, it's a very rare thing that the universities, a university like this is heavily focusing on this part, so that the horizon would increase. Because I said it's about the spectrum. We are trying to widen the spectrum. That is very, very important, because market dynamics is changing every day. So we have to be resilient. We have to be adaptable. And language is one very important thing. Communication is one very important thing, because communication is actually the mode of interactions, and not just verbal, also the written. And we also focus very much on non-verbal communication. As I mentioned, it's not just communication, because see, when you're into negotiation, your body language, your eye contacts, what we call oculesics, proxemics, all these things are very, very important. How you are carrying yourself, as I mentioned. So you have to look confident, but don't be overconfident. Don't be arrogant, because that can create problems in the negotiation. Because that is another very important thing in logistics, that you have to negotiate with a lot of, as Mr. Sujit has mentioned, a lot of DCs, a lot of distribution centers, a lot of third-party logistics providers. You just cannot run a business on your own. So the language also covers that how you are communicating. So I think, Madam Mukherjee, I have answered to your query.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that. Well, as I can see, the pedagogy that we are offering is completely different. It's a modernized version of it, and we have done away with the traditional point of view of just classroom teaching. And we are creating professionals, as I mentioned earlier as well. I would talk about a little bit about, I would like Mr. Singh to talk about a little bit about the opportunities, job opportunities that you did mention a couple of minutes ago about. If you can elaborate on that. So what is the career scope? This is the primary thing that is there in the minds of students. Will I get a job if I study this? What kind of jobs will I be getting? That is the main concern. So I would like you to elaborate, and maybe all of you can
just one thing before Mr. Sujit says. Can I just add one thing? Since you've used the word pedagogy, as the name implies, it has something to do with the children, because pediatrics, pedagogy, they have the same thing, where it is more of a teacher-oriented learning. But now we are going towards, especially during this pandemic, we are going towards the andragogy with the addition of heterogogy. So, heterogogy. So what happens, actually, we are focusing more on the andragogy, where it is not teacher-oriented, it is basically learner-oriented learning, where it is more of a participative learning, inclusive learning. So I thought I want to mention that we are also going towards that, where students should not just look at the teachers and whatever teachers say is like a sermon from a pedestal. It's like an oracle. No, it's not like that. They also come into, and it's a two-way learning that we are into. So that is another thing that we follow at SNU. So this is just one small addition. Okay, over to you, Mr. Sujit.
So very quickly, I just wanted to give them a proper input how this career ladder will be reflecting for the student point of view. So as far as the profile segment with the industry part, they may be placed into the analyst role for logistic and supply chain management. They are into the dispatch and delivery operation team. They are also, valuable input with regards to international logistic operations process like freight forwarding organizations or the cargo movers organizations. Then they will be the part of the inventory control, production and operation management, system support analyst, like the sir is talking about the GPS enabled tracking systems and GSTs and other things that can be the part of this part. Then also the very keen for the transportation operations, vendor manage inventory, where you need to support all functionality for the manufacturers. Then warehouse operations with regards to the booking, transshipment, and quality assurance, stocking, each and every element should be there. So this is how you will be placed into the various roles and various department wise. And as far as the location concerns or the process concerned, these companies are having their pan India offices. So no restrictions with regards to any the state preference and the other thing. Second, the most important element, like you may be the part of the operations team, and for the managing the operations activity, you have to very specific and very prominent with the quality and the assurance, because in today's world, day by day we are going into the very latest domain and latest trends and technologies, where the competition is very key factor. Earlier, whenever we order something, that product will be reached in 20, let's say 72 hours, or maybe five working days, 6 working days. Now the trend is there. You order something, get it in 90 minutes time, and companies are working on that particular. And that is how possible, because of the commitment, quality, and the assurance part. Where to you, ma'am?
Thank you. Would you, Professor Dotto, would you add anything to that? Would you like to add anything to that?
Obviously, what Mr. Sujit said, that is, I think it's a really insight. And what I always expect the students, the parents, and all the other stakeholders in this academic delivery system, that they need to understand that one has to be prepared for it. It is not that one gets into a course and just gets into the career automatically. Somebody has to devote time and develops himself or herself. And let me tell you, it's not the one time, it is a continuous process, an iterative process. And all of us are also learning. Just think about 2020 February. I don't think anybody could have thought of having once a session online. Mr. Sujit is at another part of the country, and we are at another part of the country, and we are launching the program, and things are going so very well. Just can you imagine? So that means what? We also have evolved. We also have learned how to use these platforms. So I think all the people who are listening, all the people who are looking for a career, whatever career they're looking for, this thing is very, very important, that the change is the only constant thing. And one has to get out of the comfort zone, and one has to be ready with knowing new things, to take the challenges, to accept challenges. Okay, and there is a say that when the going gets tough, the tough gets going. So there will be challenges, there will be changes, and we should go and face it. That is very, very important.
Right, absolutely. Professor Dotto, well,
that is true, but
it's a unique course, a very, as Professor Shashibish mentioned earlier, a very unique course. What have been happening courses that have come up, and SMU has already taken the lead and launched this very interesting course. Professor Kashnavish, would you like to add something to that?
actually, I want to add just one point.
Right.
Knowledge has no substitute. The course has been designed in such a way that one gets adequate knowledge on, number one, the basics of management. We did not envisage the situation where one can develop an expertise in the area of logistics and supply chain management without having an iota of understanding of how a management really functions. So we did not compromise on the basics of management. These are there in the core areas of the subject. We also did not compromise on two basic things: the business environment under which a business operates, the legal environment, the economic and social environment. And we also did not miss the point that one must have some understanding about the organizational behavior. No compromise on this one. But then we assessed what is there coming up as the demand side, as demand on quote unquote logistics management, and also management in the area of quote unquote supply chain. What are the new issues which are coming up, and how these new issues are to be addressed with the tools that we know. In that area, we had a great deal of support from the Times Pro. Times Pro did make an assessment about what is there in the market, what is demanded in the market in terms of the new manpower need. We immediately understood what should be the academic content of that one, and that has been translated in the course curriculum as a part of the DSE. And Professor Dotto has rightly pointed out that we had to give stress on DSE right from the beginning, because this is such a course which would be the only oriented towards what is need in the supply chain and what exactly is demand from the logistics with respect to the quality of the manpower. And we would try to train the manpower in such a way that the potential employers will find that they have adequate knowledge in the subject for which they could be hired. I started with the strong warning that knowledge has no substitute, and we did not make any compromise on this particular point while developing the course curriculum. Over to you, Indrila.
Thank you so much. Yes, we did not make any compromise. What a wonderful way to put it. Highly,
That cannot be done. That cannot be done, Indrila.
yes. So thank you. In fact, we've come to the end of the session almost. It was a very informative session indeed. A very lively session with lots of points to learn from. Mr. Singh unfortunately had to leave because he had another engagement. So, but then again, please thank him on my behalf. I can see Mr. Chakraborty there, which is an essential part of this team who's been working with us and on behalf of Times Pro. A big thank you to Professor Kashnavish, to Professor Dotto, and of course, Mr. Surdeep Singh. This is just the beginning. We have several more such sessions lined up to learn about this new, very, very new topic and interesting topic. I'm sure we'll come up with new webinars and address questions that you may have. For the audience, we have streamed this session live on YouTube channel, on Sister Nivedita University YouTube channel. And also, if you have any more questions regarding the subject, regarding your eligibility criteria, what are the demands for the course, you can just log into our website, www.smuniv.ac.in, and you can find out yourself, or you can also ask our professors. I would give out the email ID of Professor Dotto, debraj.d@smuniv.ac.in. You can also write to Professor Kashnavish as well. That is ratan.a@snunid.ac.in. Please write to us. Please talk to us. Let us know what queries do you have regarding the entire program. We would be happy to reach out to you. Thank you so much once again to all the speakers, and especially from Times Pro Group for giving us this support. We're extremely lucky at SMU. We're extremely lucky for the support of everybody. That is me wrapping up today. Thank you so much. everybody. Bye.
Okay.
Have a good night.
Bye.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.